Hi folks, and thanks for joining us today for a slightly different Freedom Forest video. And this is something I'm going to try new this year and see how it goes. And it's going to be like a video log, because often here there's so much more going on that we want to share that we don't get time to film, or sometimes we film bits and pieces and then it never quite makes it into a full video. So what I'm going to try doing here is a bit of a roundup of what's been happening and maybe what's planned and how things have gone, just to share a little bit more about what goes on around here with you. And we'll see how these videos go, we'll see how they're received. If they go down well, then we'll keep doing them perhaps. If they're not so popular, then maybe it's something that we'll just do monthly and share on our Patreon site. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But basically, we just feel that there's a lot more that gets missed that is just sometimes useful stuff to talk about. And also, if nothing else for us, this is a really nice way of keeping a log and a record of what's happening around here. So let's get straight into it. It is the 6th of January today, a full moon, I believe. And it was beautifully bright last night. So probably another night of that again tonight, especially as it's a little bit brighter today. So if it stays clearer, we might have some beautiful, beautiful skies tonight to enjoy. So yeah, 6th of January. It has been a pretty tough winter so far. As many of you will know, we had a really big freeze throughout early December, which for us here in the south of England is really quite unusual. We don't normally get our heaviest frosts on average until some point in February. Usually actually for us here, the very end of February is our coldest period, or the very end of the winter, so some point in February is our coldest period. And often December, as it has gone back to now, stays quite mild. So different challenges in different ways with that, but mainly it's caused us some rethinking about how we've been storing our crops so far this year. So we had a pretty good sweet potato harvest, which we've made plenty of videos on, so you can go and check those out on our YouTube channel as well. We've done outdoor harvest, indoor harvest, and a harvest from pots. And overall, we had a pretty good yield. But the issue we've had now is storing them. We rebuilt a shed back in October, or we started rebuilding it back in October. And we don't have any building experience, so we're just learning all of this stuff as we go. And the shed is literally just a shell at the moment. Looks great from the outside, but inside we've still got a lot of work to do. And what we discovered with this big freeze so far is that our shed isn't frost free, and which we expected, to be honest. We expected that. But that has caused us a lot of difficulties in storing our sweet potatoes and our pumpkins mainly. Normal white potatoes, they are doing absolutely fine. So unfortunately we have lost a lot of our sweet potatoes this year due to the weather conditions. Now, had we have not got this big freeze until February, when we normally get it, we would have used a lot more of the harvest already. And also in February, that's when we start growing on the slips from the new potatoes, from the saved potatoes as well. So that's kind of changeover time for it all. And often what we harvest usually only lasts us till round about then. So that's been a little bit disappointing. But as always with these things, it shows us where we have our weaknesses and where we need to focus more time and improvements. And we knew our shed isn't finished yet, but it's kind of been a good thing, because this has happened at a time before we've taken it to the next stage. If we'd have taken it on another level and maybe cladded it out on the inside, we might not have realised how important it was for us to insulate it. So yeah, it's kind of been a good thing that now we're going to have to put a bit more time than we expected, but yeah, we can put a bit more time into making this shed really good for storage for the winter. So yeah, it showed us what we need to do, but yeah, we have lost a few crops in the meantime, but hopefully now we've brought the best of what we've got left into a warmer place, so hopefully they will store through, and we've kind of got 50% of our pumpkins somewhere warmer and we've got 50% of them still in the shed, and we're just monitoring that whenever we can and see how it goes. So as always, really good learning. But yeah, really big extremes in the weather conditions that we've seen this year. Obviously we've gone from drought periods in the summer to then torrential rain, and now we've had a big freeze, and we're kind of in between at the moment. We're in between lots of rain and, you know, a few nice days. So fingers crossed things will settle down a little bit more now coming up. So let's have a look. What else did I want to share with you? Oh yes, again, so going back to the freeze, the other thing that we lost quite a lot of this year, that often we're still cropping right through until February on a milder winter, is our Cape gooseberries. And that was a real shame, because the plants that we had about eight plants, and they were still completely covered in fruit. We had been harvesting for quite a long time already, and we've had some good harvests, so I can't complain there, but we should have had more than double what we had already harvested. But the plants have been completely knocked back, and actually the last couple of days, some of the jobs that I've been doing is, one of the jobs I've been doing is clearing the last of the plants that were in our polytunnel. And actually, again, it's a job I should have done it weeks ago. It's been left a lot too long, and a lot of everything in there that's been left has gone mildew now, and so particularly the Cape gooseberries are it's not a really very pleasant job to be doing, because they're letting off lots of mold spores, which isn't very nice at all. So I started doing some of that yesterday, and I cleared all of the smaller stuff, but I have still got to go back and clear the Cape gooseberry plants right out, because they need to go. It's not good for them to be in the polytunnel, and like I say, I really should have got onto that job a bit sooner, because it's probably not very good for me to be doing it now either, but we'll just do it as carefully as we can. Yeah, so the other job I've been doing this week is I had a really good tidy up of my brassica net house, where we grow all of our kale, and we've still got Brussels sprouts and purple sprouting broccoli coming on, and perennial kales and things like that. They were looking really sorry after all of the big freeze that we had, and there was a lot of leaves that needed clearing up, so I gave that a really good tidy, and that's looking a lot smarter. A lot of the plants are really small now at this time of the year, but we are still taking small harvests off them, 2 or 3 times a week. I just try and be a little bit more mindful about which plants I harvest from and how regularly. But the perennial kale still does pretty well growing at this time of year, and that's Taunton Dean that we grow in there. Yeah, so we've been doing the net house tidy up, been tidying up the polytunnels. The polytunnels need a really good clean as well, so that's another job I'm really keen to get onto, is the inside and the outside of the plastic. So that's a great job for this time of year. In fact, there's loads of great jobs for this time of year, but it's just trying to find the breaks in the weather to be able to get these jobs done. This is the time when I start getting really itchy to get out there and start making improvements, but obviously it can be difficult. It can be difficult on all these wet, cold days that we have. So Dan yesterday was pruning some of our apple trees as well. I had started giving them a bit of a light prune a week or so ago, and just taking out any crossing branches or anything that didn't look so healthy. And then he went in yesterday and did all of the big shoots coming off the top and gave them a really nice shape. So yeah, so they're looking great. So that was a really good job. Some good progress there. And then coming up, we've got quite a lot going on in January actually. Some really exciting stuff and some stuff that's new to us as well. So I think next week we've got 6 new fruit trees arriving, and then we've got another 4 trees that are just rootstock trees, which Dan actually has some different varieties of fruit trees that he's going to graft onto the rootstock himself to, in essence, make our own fruit trees of varieties that we choose. So he's done some of that before and had quite good success. The thing that we also love about this method is that you can create your own family trees quite nicely. So if, say, you've got friends or family that have got 3 different varieties of an apple that you like, you can get cuttings from their apple trees and graft them all onto one tree, so you create a family tree, which is really cool. So we've got a bit of work to do there, because the 6 of our trees are to go into a new area that we are planning to food forest. Now, we did intend to be a little bit further ahead with that project, a little bit more organised than we are. But as always, lots of other stuff crops up. So unfortunately, what we're going to have to do is just plant the trees first and get them in the ground, and then come back to the rest of the project at a later date. Which is fine, because obviously getting the fruit trees in the ground is a really important thing, and as long as we can keep the area clear all around them, they can be spreading their roots and growing on and getting established for whenever it is we get back to the rest of that project. And you can check out the area where they are going in a video that I made back in the summer about planning our next food forest, and I'll put the link to that one in here, and I'll also put the link in the description for any of the videos that I mention here today, so you can find them easily if you want to check them out. So we actually yesterday we went up and planned where we're going to put these new trees into this area, which is a little bit overgrown at the moment, but like I say, we'll just clear the spaces for the trees and get them in. We've staked where we're going to put the trees and planned which trees will go where, so as soon as they arrive we can, because they're going to be bare root, we can get onto that just as soon as possible. So that is another exciting project, but when the rest of it will happen, we're not too sure yet, but we will have lots more to share about that in the future. And the other thing that we've got going on at the end of this month, on the 28th of January, is that we're actually going to be taking our first workshop, and we're co-hosting that with somebody called Ed, who is a really cool guy that we've met and is into lots of permaculture and regenerative agriculture kind of stuff. And he is also an architect as well. So we're going to be hosting a workshop which is basically an introduction to permaculture and regen ag for a community market garden kind of setup that we're actually going to be working with a bit this year. So so lots going on there. So the workshop is being held in Petersfield, which is a little bit further south of Guildford, and that's on the 28th of January. And so there are tickets on sale for that if anybody is reasonably local to that area and they would like to come. If you message us, we can let you know how to book that if you would like to join us. So I'll pop some more details about that in the description below as well. Oh yes, so another big plan that I'm really excited about for this year in our existing food forest is I'm going to be having a big focus on planting lots more herbs, lots of medicinal herbs, lots of less common herbs perhaps, so not just your standard sort of culinary herbs for cooking, which I do love and really, really respect, and I'm going to be putting a lot more of in. But I'm also going to be doing some more unusual stuff, or some more things like St. John's wort, things that I can grow and dry and use for my teas myself. just like this lemon balm. This is lemon balm tea that I have here from lemon balm that I dried and stored from last season. So yeah, so that is a really exciting project in our existing food forest. And yeah, we've got lots of other stuff going on. Another job for January that I still need to get to is planting my broad beans, and I will do that at some point this month. You can sow broad beans anytime from November till pushing it into February at the very latest. And last year I actually sowed some in November and I sowed some in January, and I have to say there was absolutely no difference in when they started coming up from the ground. And the only thing I feel here for us about sowing them a little bit later is that there is possibly less chance of rodents sneaking in and eating the seeds, or maybe like we're experiencing this year, if it's really wet, the seeds rotting. So yeah, so that's another job for January that I've got to get going on, is getting the broad bean seeds in the ground. And yeah, I'm sure there's other things that we are going to be doing and sharing, and we will still be sharing some of our normal style videos throughout the month as well. But we'll see how this goes, and then probably again in early February we'll do another little video log like this and a catch up, and we can let you know how everything's gone that we've already done, and then what we've got planned going forwards, and hopefully that will give you some ideas of what you can be doing yourselves in your own garden as well. But really, January is a great time for doing your seed orders. It's a great time for prepping beds, for just getting everything organised. Oh yes, speaking of getting organised, that is another big job that we've got on for January. We were hoping to build another polytunnel, which we do already have in stock, thanks to Premier Polytunnels for giving us a really good discount on that tunnel, and we will be putting that one up soon. But we're a little bit pushed with other things that we've got on this month. Dan keeps getting pulled away to other important jobs, like the installation of a shed, which has to be done before we can move that project forward. So instead, our third big polytunnel that we have at the moment, which we do have big plans for that, like everything around here, it's a little bit of a wasted space at the moment. So we're going to have a big clear out of that polytunnel and get a propagation area set up in there. So that's where I will be bringing on a lot of our seeds this year. So that is another big job. So yeah, so seed ordering, getting organised with your beds and growing areas, just getting everything prepped for the growing season. Broad bean seeds in if you haven't done so already. Some garlic you can still sow from now until March, I believe. Some French garlic, not the elephant garlic. That's probably a little bit too late now for that. So there are still jobs that you can be doing in your gardens. We've certainly got plenty that we've got to do here, and we will keep you updated on what's happening and try and get some more videos out to you just as soon as possible. Hopefully one of our next videos will be an oca harvest perhaps, although again we have had some losses on stuff that is still in the ground now because of the deep freeze. Normally we don't harvest our oca until late December or early January, and they are absolutely fine because, like I said, we don't normally get our biggest freezes until February. But having a little check the other day, we have had some losses, but that was only one patch that I looked into. So yeah, oca harvest. Dan has also got a potato video that he's still working on from our full growing season, from growing our Sarpo potatoes last year, which have been a huge success for us, and they are storing really well, and it has been our biggest harvest of potatoes, of standard white potatoes that we've had to date. And also produced our biggest potatoes to date that we've ever grown. So yeah, so that video should be coming soon, so stay tuned for that one. And also, if you haven't already, check out our more recent video about something that we are definitely growing again next year. If you enjoyed this video log today, please give it a thumbs up, because this really helps us know what of our content that you are enjoying and what you would like to see more of. Leave us comments below about the same thing as well. Let us know what you think about this style of video, if it's useful, if you enjoyed it. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be back in early February for another little update for you. So happy gardening, guys. Have a great time organising your gardens and growing spaces, and we will catch you here again soon. Peace and plants.